Hello, good evening. This is UTV Live.
Tonight at 6, golfing glory. Rory McIlroy joins the history books, winning a second Masters title back-to-back.
I just looked at the back of the green and I give it one of these because I saw my mum and dad and Erica and Poppy, and I was just like, can't believe I've just done it again.
Pride on the streets of his hometown in Hollywood, County Down, as there are calls for him to receive honours for his feat.
Unbelievable. It's just fantastic for everybody. You know, he's a good news story and he's a feel-good, isn't he? Everybody's happy for him and happy for the family, and what a story.
Also ahead, amid fears that fuel protests may spread here, the executive parties agree Westminster must step in to help with rising costs.
Plus the rest of the day's news, weather and sport, including a thrilling victory for Armagh as the GAA Ulster Championship kicks off.
Two Masters, back-to-back wins, and now Rory McIlroy has become what some people say is the greatest athlete ever to come from Northern Ireland.
It was an agonising and nail-biting finish, but the green jacket was destined to return to its previous owner. We'll have reaction from people in Rory's hometown of Hollywood, but first we join our sports correspondent Ruth Gorman, who is at Hollywood Golf Club. Ruth.
Yes, thank you, Paul. Good evening from Hollywood Golf Club. This is where it all began for Rory McIlroy as a 7-year-old boy when he became a member here. Now he is a 6-time major champion after winning his second Masters by one shot with a final score of 12 under par last night. And he doesn't want to stop there. McIlroy says this is just another stop on the journey as he became just the 4th player to win back-to-back Masters titles. Last night's win was extra special as he was surrounded by those closest to him at Augusta National. A family portrait like no other. As Rory ripped up more history books last night, he paid tribute to the most important people in his life.
My mum and dad, they weren't here last year to celebrate with us, and surprisingly, I had to convince them to come this year because they thought that the reason that I won was because they weren't here. So I'm glad that we proved that wrong. But Mum and Dad, I owe everything to you. You are you're the most wonderful parents. And if I could be half the parent to Poppy as you were to me, then I know I've done a good job. Thank you.
It was the Rory roller coaster again, and what a ride it was for his 6th major championship. A 6-shot lead halfway through the tournament vanished. Saturday and Sunday became all about resilience.
Yeah, I don't make it easy. I used to make it easy back in my early 20s when I was winning these things by 8 shots. It's hard. It's hard to win golf tournaments, yeah, especially around here. Like it's, you know, you've had maybe a couple of runaway winners over the years, but it always seems to be a very tight finish at this golf course. So I think it's the nature of the golf course. It's the nature of what's at stake.
McIlroy is only the 4th player to win back-to-back green jackets and is now tied with Sir Nick Faldo on 6 major championships.
You know, it took me 10 years to win at my 5th major, and then, you know, my 6th one's come pretty soon after it. So yeah, I'm not putting a number on it, but I certainly don't want to stop here.
McIlroy paid special tribute to his best friend and caddy Harry Diamond, who he calls the big brother he never had. And as he thanked wife Erica and daughter Poppy, he revealed the Masters is not just his favourite tournament of the year.
They have to put up with me at home, and trust me, sometimes that's a tough thing to do. But they have been my biggest supporters, and you know, this has definitely turned into Poppy's favourite week of the year. I don't know if it's because of the par 3 tournament or it's all you can eat ice cream in the player services building, but
Well, don't blame Poppy. The Georgia Peach ice cream sandwich from Augusta looks delicious. Well, Rory's win entranced millions, and nowhere is as proud of him as those in his hometown of Hollywood, County Down. We sent our reporter Jordan Moore there today to talk about the local man who has become an international superstar.
It's becoming a common occurrence, McIlroy winning the Masters, and you could say these celebrations at Hollywood Golf Club are becoming a tradition unlike any other. Rory clearly still had the appetite for success last night, and Hollywood had the appetite for the classic McIlroy biscuit this morning, with all of them sold out before lunchtime. But one lucky man was able to get the last couple.
My granddaughter works in here, and she rang me up about 20 minutes ago and said, "Granda, there's 5 of them still left here, do you want them?" So I said, definitely keep them for me.
You must feel pretty small getting the last 5.
I definitely feel absolutely delighted.
McIlroy's Magic Masters run hasn't been lost on his hometown as he rubber-stamped his status as one of Northern Ireland's greatest sports stars.
I was trying to make a golf club out of something. I was trying to get some bones together and trying to make something. Maybe we'll get Rory's face and some sausages, but I don't know if I could do that to him.
He's very nice and kind and stuff like that.
Do you think he's a good golfer?
Yes.
Do you think he's the best golfer?
I
Yes.
think he's a fantastic ambassador for Hollywood and Northern Ireland and for golf. Super person.
And what about yourself?
You couldn't do anything but love him. He's just a man of the times.
I'm from here, but we live over in England, and even there, he's talked about, and people respect it. It's good.
McIlroy's victory ties him with Sir Nick Faldo for the second most major victories by a European. So that raises the question: how should he be honoured by his hometown, and how does Sir Rory sound?
A knighthood?
Do you think McIlroy should get a knighthood?
Oh, absolutely. And Jerry and Rosie as well, for all the effort they put into it.
Well, Hollywood, yeah, the keys to Hollywood.
At least the keys to Hollywood?
At least, the very least.
He should get a statue for a start. A knighthood, certainly, yes.
Where would you like a statue?
Probably in the centre of Hollywood.
Freedom of the borough has been mentioned before. It's not something that is likely to appeal to Rory, but we have been working with him and his team very closely, and we are working on something very fitting and very appropriate.
Well, Rory McIlroy has not just won this tournament once, but now twice. And I guess we'll have to come back here next year to see if he can become 3 times a Masters winner. Jordan Moore, UTV Live, Hollywood.
So Rory McIlroy is literally the talk of the town today, and he will continue to be after what he has achieved. As Rory said himself, he waited 17 years to win the Masters, and 2 come along in the space of 1 year. There's no reason now why McIlroy can't go on and achieve even greater things in the game of golf, and we'll be speaking to those here at Hollywood Golf Club later in the programme about that.
Ruth Gorman in Hollywood, thank you very much. An inquest into the death of teenager Noah Donohoe has heard that he was likely to have been alive when he entered a storm drain in North Belfast, where his body was later found.
Today, the court heard detailed expert evidence about what may have happened inside the tunnel. Katie Andrews has more.
Noah Donohoe was 14 years old when he disappeared in June 2020. The schoolboy had left his home in South Belfast on his bike, heading to meet friends in the Cave Hill area. 6 days later, his body was found inside a storm drain in North Belfast. The inquest into the death of the young teenager resumed at Belfast Coroner's Court following the Easter break. Today, new expert evidence has shed a light on what may have happened. Professor Carolyn Roberts told the court it is likely Noah was alive when he entered the storm drain. Her report suggests he climbed through a metal grille at the entrance, as the gaps were wide enough for a child or a small man to pass through without undue effort. The layout of the drain, complex, running beneath the M2 motorway, railway lines and towards Belfast Lough. Conditions the professor claims could easily lead to disorientation. It was also revealed rising water levels may have played a critical role. The inquest was told that high tide occurred several hours after Noah was last seen, likely causing water to rapidly fill sections of the tunnel. Professor Roberts concluded it is likely Noah drowned in a mixture of seawater and fresh water while confused and in darkness, adding that the cold conditions and the fact he was not wearing clothes would have made survival unlikely. The inquest continues. Katie Andrews, UTV Live.
The Ulster Farmers Union is calling for financial help from members amid the rising cost of fuel. However, its president has said that he does not believe that blocking roads is the way forward. It follows days of protests in the Republic, which appear to have eased today.
Meanwhile, the SDLP has accused Stormont ministers of not doing enough to help households and businesses with the increase in fuel costs. Our political correspondent Vicky Hawthorne reports.
After days of protest crippling the major road network in Ireland, a €500 million government support package seems to have helped stem the anger, at least for now. Farmers are among some of the hardest hit. The UFU is aware of posts online of possible protests in Northern Ireland, but it is directing its attention at what Stormont and Westminster can do to help.
This is a very real issue, very current, but blocking roads is not just the way forward at this moment in time.
The First and Deputy First Ministers have written to the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, to urge him to take urgent action to help families and businesses feeling the financial pressure of rising fuel costs.
I think it's wise that the UFU are, pointing their anger on the requests which they are making and have asked for joint party support directly to the Treasury in London, and we support them.
But the SDLP opposition is accusing the executive of not doing enough with the powers it has to help people in Northern Ireland.
For the public out there facing this energy crisis, can you name a single practical action that you and the First Minister and the executive more broadly have taken to support them?
The Deputy First Minister hit back, insisting the executive is working hard, with the Communities Minister preparing to bring forward a plan to deliver the £17 million home heating oil support announced last month.
I can assure the public who are listening to this that we are following the process that is set down in terms of our civil contingency mechanisms, that we are pressing the UK Government to take action because it is the UK Government that can take action. You have already heard today that the Communities Minister will be bringing forward proposals to the Executive this week in relation to the 17 million.
Other executive parties want all levels of government to step up.
Speaking with a united voice, alongside governments in Scotland and Wales, to call on the UK Government to take action in those areas where they are responsible, like on VAT, like on fuel duty, because they are decisions that the executive simply has no power to take. So we need a strong response from Stormont and from Westminster.
So the question people are asking is simple: when does this stop? As legislators, we must take a stand and make it clear to Westminster that this is unsustainable and that there must be an intervention.
The executive will meet later this week to discuss the Community Minister's plan to give financial help to households using heating oil. They will need to agree to the proposal and decide if there's any more money they can put in the pot. In the meantime, the executive parties continue to insist that the real power to deal with rising fuel costs lies with the government in London. Vicky Hawthorne, UTV Live, Stormont.
Executive ministers have been urged to delay a wide-ranging piece of legislation on workers' rights after concerns were raised by a group of business leaders.
20 business groups have written to ministers saying that there isn't enough time before the next Assembly election to properly scrutinise the Good Jobs Bill, highlighting concerns around changes to union representation. Here's our economics correspondent, Jordan Motes.
From the hospitality sector to the manufacturing sector and virtually every other part of employment in Northern Ireland, this bill has been described as one of the most important pieces of legislation Stormont could produce. The Good Jobs Bill by the Economy Minister seeks to improve workers' rights, but a group of 20 business organisations have written to the Minister warning about the unintended consequences of the bill.
The concerns that the business community have are that there's a massive piece of legislation being proposed. We haven't seen the detail of it yet, it hasn't been published, but we know that it's likely to affect something like 50 different pieces of employment legislation. And the thought of trying to ram that through in just a few sitting weeks of the rest of this mandate is unacceptable. We should make good law, not fast law.
One of the key areas of concern is about union representation in the workplace. The business group said their proposals to lower the threshold for union representation from 21 employees to 10 will bring additional cost and complexity. Unions, however, are frustrated at the attempt to block the bill.
What did they fear from workers having a greater say in their working life? What did they fear in the extension of workplace protections? If you're not exploiting or abusing working people, this legislation doesn't hold any problem for you. So it's quite incredible the lengths they're willing to go to. The issue of a so-called delay or not enough time is a nonsense. I've sat for 2 years listening to these employer groups make excuses, drag their feet about why workers shouldn't have appropriate and greater workplace protections.
This legislation has been worked on for some time. It was first announced in 2024. It's already been through a consultation and is about to be brought to the Assembly. But those business groups don't believe there's enough time to properly scrutinise it because of the Assembly election in less than a year's time.
This is a really important piece of legislation containing many important measures, things like leave for parents whose babies are born prematurely, carers leave, strength and protections for women on maternity leave. I have had considerable and constructive engagement across the business community, but also with others who have an interest in this bill. So I think people need to see the detail of the bill before they actually make their decisions on it.
It's impossible for this Assembly to ignore the strong intervention from businesses today about the Employment Rights Bill. We haven't seen it, so we can't describe it as good, bad or indifferent, but what I can tell you is that this Assembly has been promised legislation for the last 2 years, and yet we still don't have any detail to scrutinise whatsoever.
This piece of legislation will be keenly watched now by all. Will it get across the line or remain simply an aspiration? Jordan Motes, UTV Live.
The DUP's newest MLA, Julie Middleton, has hit out at online criticism of her decision to replace her husband Gary in Stormont after he stepped down over mental health issues. Mrs Middleton, who was an elected councillor in Derry City and Strabane District Council, will now represent the party in the Foyle constituency.
Certainly over the last 48 hours I have seen a small amount of comments regarding how could I possibly step into this role if Gary is sick at home. Well, Gary is very much sick at home. He's under the care of the NHS and he's not doing well, but he is focused on rest and recovery. I think what most people who don't know me, maybe they're not aware of the fact that I have been in the public eye throughout this whole journey, and our private life and our public life are two different things.
The father of a man who shot and killed his wife and children before turning the gun on himself has admitted failing to comply with the conditions of a firearm certificate. A barrister for 77-year-old Ernest Rutledge from Donohoe Road in Brookborough entered a guilty plea on his behalf at Enniskillen magistrates earlier today. Vanessa White, who was 45, and daughter Sarah Rutledge were pronounced dead at the scene. 13-year-old James Rutledge was rushed to hospital but died from his injuries.
The trial of the man accused of murdering Chloe Mitchell in Ballymena in 2023 has hit a further delay. The judge has agreed to a defence application to allow time for fresh expert assessments of Brandon John Rainey's mental health. 29-year-old Rainey of Maghaberry Prison has been charged with murdering Ms Mitchell and attempting to prevent the burial of her body. He has pleaded not guilty.
A public inquiry into plans to build a gold mine said to be worth billions started up in Omagh again today after it was suspended last January because the Department for Infrastructure breached its own legislation by not informing the Irish government of the inquiry or giving Donegal County Council time to respond after a cross-border issue was identified.
And there could be another issue this time round too, as questions were raised about new updated environmental information. The Canadian company Dalradian applied for planning permission for the site in County Tyrone in 2017. Sarah O'Kane reports.
A public inquiry into plans to build a gold mine near Greencastle in County Tyrone collapsed last year because of a mistake by the Department for Infrastructure. Today it resumed again, but not long into it, and campaigners against the project argued the inquiry should not continue because it's understood new environmental information has not been seen by all the relevant parties, including the Irish government. A legal representative for DFI said the information was on the website and could have been accessed in reasonable time, And the inquiry is not the end of the process, so those who want to have their say can afterwards, before any planning decision is made. The Commissioner told the inquiry they will review the cross-border issue around that new environmental information overnight and make a decision in the morning. She said the Planning Appeals Commission are satisfied they have met all statutory obligations and afforded all parties the opportunity to participate in this inquiry and avail of access to justice. Dalridians say the gold mine is worth around £9 billion to the local economy and the application is environmentally responsible.
We're concerned about the water, the air, the land and the health, things that are basic to our survival.
This is a very complex inquiry with a massive volume of information to get through from those for and against. It's expected to last up to 10 weeks. In the end, though, the decision will be up to the Stormont executive. Sarah O'Kane, UTV Live, Omagh.
It's time now to look at the headlines making tonight's ITV News at 6:30.
Here's Mary Nightingale.
Coming up in the programme, the Southport Public Inquiry finds the killer was an extreme danger and his attack on a children's dance class could and should have been prevented. America's blockade begins at the Strait of Hormuz after peace talks between the US and Iran ended without a deal. And Northern Ireland's Rory McIlroy makes history in Augusta as he retains his Masters title. Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
Sports news now, and what a thrilling weekend it was.
And we're going straight back to join Ruth live at Hollywood Golf Club.
That conversion was never in doubt. John Mulholland Motors proudly sponsors UTV Sport Updates.
Hello again from Hollywood Golf Club, home of six-time major champion Rory McIlroy. Last night, the 37-year-old became just the fourth golfer to win back-to-back Masters titles. We saw the scenes from this golf club here last night earlier in the programme, and I'm delighted to say I'm joined now by club captain Kieran Diver. Kieran, what's it like to say you have a double Masters champion from this club? Not many golf clubs get to say that.
Well, all fantastic, awesome. Pride bursting out of us. Every member who's up here last night just showed the enthusiasm of the club and obviously the admiration we have for Rory. It's just such a global superstar and awesome golfer.
Last year he became just the sixth player to complete the career Grand Slam. What did that do for this golf club, and it will continue now?
Yeah, when he won the Grand Slam, I think that's probably where we, as members anyway, we wouldn't put pressure. We're not putting pressure on Rory, but as members it was win the Masters and get the Grand Slam. It was just such a prize goal to get. Last night a wee bit of ease in that because he obviously has the Grand Slam, but then to break another record and get back-to-back wins, it was just, I don't know, it's icing on the cake, so it is. It's just, there's no adjectives for it.
I would say plenty of visitors have been here in the last year.
Yes, we open the doors to all visitors. Last year had different numbers, anything from 3,500 to 5,000 visitors visited the club. Obviously with the Open here last year and the effect of obviously Rory winning the Masters. But even today, there's been a massive surge and phones ringing in the club as well. So yeah, the impact is immediate.
And last night's victory was worth $4.5 million for Rory. Not that that matters to him. It's all about legacy now. How far can he go? He has said that he wants more.
Yeah, there's more left in him, of course there is. He's a young man. He still has, well, I don't know, you put a number on 10 years, 15 years, but multiplied by 4, that's another 40 potential majors for him. So what I'd love to see him do is do the double Grand Slam. And I was saying to someone last night, is it really interesting that he has a surplus Masters actually to achieve that? So that's quite amazing. But any more majors would be great.
Absolutely. And just finally, a quick one. Is it true that Jerry McIlroy phoned the bar last night to buy everyone around from Augusta?
I think he delegated. It was actually Sean who phoned, which was great. But they all got a drink and everyone was very grateful for it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Kieran. Now on to Gaelic Games. The Ulster Senior Football Championship got underway yesterday. Armagh secured a 1-point victory over Tyrone after extra time at the Athletic Grounds. Kieran McGeeney's side will now face Fermanagh in the quarter-finals at Brewster Park. Daniel Duffy was in Armagh for us.
The breaking ball's going to go the way of Ross McQuillan.
Armagh started the brighter at the Athletic Grounds yesterday and went in at the break 4 points ahead. Tyrone rallied in the second half, but found themselves behind. That was until Ben McDonald found the back of the net to force extra time. Tomas McCormick grabbed a goal early in extra time for Armagh, though Tyrone looked to have forced a shootout.
Changes direction off the left foot. Score from Matty Donnelly.
That was until Conor Turbett secured a 1-point victory for Kieran McGeeney's side.
Been there before, probably too many things, and that definitely stands to us. And I suppose with the red card being a man down, we just had to work that bit harder, and it worked. You could see the boys gave everything out there, and just got us where we needed to get there.
Anytime you play Tyrone, well, in my 40 years probably being involved in Ulster football, it's always going to be tough. You're never going to get it easy, despite what everybody else might tell you outside it. And again, the quality players, All Ireland semi-final last year, we should have had it won in ordinary time with that. But again, in fairness to the fellas that went after it, at the beginning of extra time, great point by Ross off the kick out or the throw up, and then Aisling Tomas some really good 1-2s to get a great goal.
Well, the Ulster Championship is up and running. It never disappoints. Tyrone, well, they will lick their wounds and focus on the All-Ireland series next month. As for Armagh, they're back in action in 2 weeks' time when they face Fermanagh at Brewster Park. Daniel Duffy, UTV Live at the Athletic Grounds in Armagh.
Now Ulster Rugby are through to the semi-finals of the Challenge Cup after a 41-24 victory over Ronan O'Gara's La Rochelle. They're now just 1 game away from their first European final since 2012. It was a special night for the Ward brothers as both touched down in Ulster's 6-try victory. Richie Murphy's side will now face Exeter Chiefs in the semi-finals on Saturday, May the 2nd at the Affidea Stadium in Belfast. Staying with Rugby, Ireland got their Women's Six Nations campaign underway on Saturday. They lost 33-12 to England, but showed great signs in the second half in particular when they matched England with both sides scoring 12 points in those 40 minutes. That is all your sport from Hollywood Golf Club, where they're still celebrating Rory McIlroy. Last year he became just the 6th player of all time to win the career Grand Slam. Now he's just the 4th to win back-to-back Masters. You never know, next year we could be here celebrating the first ever hat-trick in Masters history. Bye for now.
Work boots during the week, football boots at the weekend. Mulholland Maxus proudly sponsors UTV Sport Updates.
The weather's next.
And what a lovely bright day it's been for most of us. Here's Louise.
When it's unpredictable outside, you can rely on the comforts of home. UTV Weather, sponsored by the Grant Arona R290 heat pump.
Hello there, good evening. After a lovely start this morning, plenty of crisp spells of sunshine. We did have a few showers edge in. Over the next couple of days, it's rather changeable. Sunny spells and scattered April showers never too far away, but it will start to feel slightly milder by a few degrees or so. Low pressure though continues to dominate our weather. We have a few frontal systems edging in from the west as we move through this week. Blustery winds picking up on Wednesday with some heavy rain through the first part of the day. Tonight though, any showers should slowly start to fizzle out as we move through the night. Skies will clear through the second half of the night. There's a potential for some mist and fog patches to develop with a touch of frost. Temperatures though holding up around 2 or 3 degrees Celsius. A misty and foggy start tomorrow for some, but this will very quickly lift and clear. But it's quite a grey, dull, miserable day. Showers pushing northwards as we move into the afternoon. Quite a lot of low cloud and hill fog. A breezier day across the County Down coast with highs of 14 degrees Celsius. Across the rest of Ireland, mist and fog to start in the morning. Plenty of rain edging in from the west. 1 or 2 heavier downpours there. Becoming breezy through the afternoon with temperatures reaching highs of 13 to 15 degrees Celsius. So, looking ahead for the next couple of days, rather changeable. We do have some lovely spells of sunshine in between the showers, but those showers will become quite heavy and persistent Wednesday morning. As we move through into Thursday, it looks like a drier day, 1 or 2 showers possible with longer spells of rain then edging in on Friday. Temperatures a few degrees above average for this time of year, reaching into the mid-teens. That's very latest. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye for now.
UTV Weather, sponsored by the Grant Arona R290 heat pump.
Well, the time is almost 6:30, so that's just about all we have time for this Monday, the 13th of April. There was, of course, going to be more on our website about Rory. Just search UTV News. Paul will be back with the late bulletin at 10:50.
The ITV News continues with Mary Nightingale. From Rose, from me and the entire team on UTV Live. Good evening.
Good evening.